Did you ever wrap a leather band around your wrist, feeling instantly connected to that free-spirited era? The scent of rich leather, the cool touch against your skin, and the faint clatter while you moved. Leather bracelets weren't just accessories in the 70s, they were silent declarations of individuality. These handmade treasures spoke of afternoons at street fairs, the hum of folk music in the air, and long conversations under the sun about changing the world. Leather cords braided by friends, peace symbols carefully stamped by hand, and the subtle shine of sun-faded beads, they marked the pulse of a generation searching for meaning. Wearing one was more than fashion. It was a badge of belonging and rebellion at once, worn by dreamers, rockers, and thinkers alike. Did you have one that seemed to tell your story with every scratch and knot? As we slip back into those golden afternoons, let's rediscover why these simple bracelets became cherished memories for so many. Which design still lingers in your mind today? Step back into the early 1970s when America was still humming to the afterglow of the Summer of Love, and cultural boundaries were being redrawn one small act of self-expression at a time. On college campuses, in city parks, and at backyard gatherings, something as simple as a leather band became a quiet but unmistakable marker of the changing times. The rise of leather bracelets in this era can't be understood without first remembering the wave of rebellion and renewal sweeping across the country. Students marched for peace and equality, music festivals brought strangers together beneath open skies, and the search for authenticity became deeply personal. That craving for the real, for materials and symbols untainted by mass production, set the stage for the rise of lovingly handmade leather bracelets. Why leather? Long before the 70s, leather had already seeped into the American imagination as a symbol of rugged durability and frontier spirit. Picture Western films on TV where leather gun belts and satchels adorned the heroes, icons of freedom, adventure, and survival. Even in the counterculture, there was a yearning for these ancient materials, each piece carrying the memory of the animal, the land, and the hand that shaped it. By the dawn of the new decade, that old-world authenticity resonated with young people eager to reject the slick plastic fashions of mainstream culture. You might be surprised to learn that leather bracelets first gained traction not in fancy boutiques, but alongside the grassroots artisan movements blossoming at local street fairs and music festivals. In places like San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury or Greenwich Village in New York, young craftspeople, sometimes called leather hippies, sold their wares on blankets spread over sidewalks. The sound of hammers shaping conchos, jars of colored beads, and the sharp, spicy scent of hides filled the air. It felt like part marketplace, part community gathering, and for many, these were the places where identity was both discovered and displayed. Did you ever visit a crafts fair and find yourself drawn to a simple table laid out with hand-tooled bracelets, each stamped with mysterious patterns or peace signs? Maybe you recall asking about the story behind a certain knot or color thread, and finding the answer led you into a half-hour conversation with an artist whose life was as vivid as the bracelets themselves. There was a shared sense of journey, seeking out objects that felt less like possessions and more like talismans. As leather bracelets worked their way into popular culture, they picked up influences from a surprising variety of sources. Native American motifs, think thunderbirds, arrowheads, or turquoise, set into braided bands, mingled freely alongside Celtic knots and symbols borrowed from Eastern philosophy. Each design told a quiet story of heritage, of spiritual belief, or of simple beauty discovered in imperfection. If you ever inspected your own bracelet under the sunlight, running a finger over its uneven surface, you might have noticed how every twist and blemish seemed to say, "This is real, this is lived in." Behind the gathering popularity of leather bracelets, there was also a technological story unfolding. In the post-war years, American industry had brought mass production to nearly every corner of life. Plastic jewelry flooded the shelves, and new synthetic fabrics seemed to be everywhere. But by the late 60s, that marvel had started to lose its shine. People craved things made slowly, touched by human hands. The return to crafts like leatherworking was, in some ways, a gentle protest against disposable culture. Many who crafted leather bracelets learned their skills from family or friends, reviving old techniques like stamping, dyeing, or hand braiding, sometimes with tools that hadn't changed much in a century. Here's an intriguing bit of trivia. In some neighborhoods, leather bracelets became so popular that schools held workshops to teach kids the basics of hand tooling and braiding. It was a way to bring generations together, a grandmother teaching her grandson how to work a leather punch, or a group of friends trading colored laces by the lockers. Do you remember the first time you tried making a bracelet yourself, pounding away at a kitchen table, with tools borrowed for the weekend? The sense of accomplishment at the end, even if the result was a bit crooked, made the experience unforgettable. But that's not all. Leather bracelets also rode the wave of travel culture, the fascination with journeys both real and imagined. Many were inspired by souvenirs brought back from Mexico, Morocco, or India, where leathercraft traditions ran deep. Travelers returned with wrists full of bands collected from distant markets, each representing a story, an adventure, or a friend made on the road. Suddenly one could travel the world, at least in spirit, just by swapping and wearing these bands. Of course, no account of early leather bracelets would be complete without touching on their role as silent signals in friendship and romance. Exchanging bracelets offered a sense of belonging. Do you recall sitting in the grass, twisting strands together with a friend, knotting in promises or initials? For some, these bands were memory keepers, growing more meaningful as they frayed with time. Others saw their bracelet as a lucky charm, never to be removed except for the occasional swim in the lake or ocean. Even in the movies and on TV, the leather bracelet began to make an appearance as the subtle hallmark of the cool character, the one who played the guitar, waxed philosophical under the stars, or always seemed to know the way to the next good time. From Easy Rider to the Partridge Family, you'll notice that simple strip of leather peeking out from under a rolled sleeve, wordlessly declaring that the wearer had stories to tell. Yet even as leather bracelets achieved widespread popularity, there was a continual push and pull between tradition and invention. Some preferred a classic look, a single, unadorned strip, tanned to a mellow brown by sun and wear. Others layered their wrists with multiple bands, mixing colors and charms in a personal collage. No two collections were exactly the same. This do-it-yourself spirit set the stage for endless innovation, an evolution that would carry leather bracelets into the heart of 70s fashion. So, as the decade progressed and the marketplace of style grew wilder and more diverse, leather bracelets stood out as a humble yet powerful symbol of the era's search for meaning. People wore them not because a magazine told them to, but because the bracelets felt right, the look, the feel, the scent, the memory. What about you? Was your first leather bracelet a gift, a souvenir, or something you made yourself? Did you wear it proudly every day, or save it for special moments? As leather bracelets wove themselves into the fabric of everyday life, they began to reflect the rapidly shifting world around them, absorbing influences from music, art, and technology. But how did these simple bands transform from handmade tokens to must-have fashion statements seen on music legends, athletes, and everyday folks alike? The answer lies in the next chapter of their evolution, when creativity and technology together made the 70s leather bracelet an icon of personal expression, and that's where our journey leads next. As we journey back through the rich tapestry that is the story of 1970s leather bracelets, we find ourselves surrounded by more than just an accessory. We're reminded of a time when authenticity, self-expression, and connection mattered most. A time when even the simplest piece could become a touchstone for friendship, ideals, and cherished memory. From their grassroots beginnings at bustling street fairs and sun-drenched music festivals to the careful hands of friends making gifts for one another around a kitchen table, leather bracelets captured the spirit of a generation eager to leave its mark not through words alone but through living, wearable symbols. Each bracelet, be it a plain band worn smooth by the years, or a riot of colors, beads, and intricate knots, told a story of its own. The longing to belong, the joy of forging new paths, even the quiet rebellion against the throwaway. Culture of the era. You could read a decade's worth of laughter, adventure, and discovery in the scratches, fading hues, and weathered loops of a single piece. But what lingers just as strongly as the look and feel of those bracelets is the feeling they inspired. Sliding one onto your wrist was a ritual, a small affirmation that you were part of a larger movement, connected to millions of others through music, art, ideals, and hope. The scent of leather mingled with wildflowers in the summer, the gentle snap of a clasp before a night out, the pride of a handmade gift. These are memories that settle deep in the heart, where the best parts of our younger selves still live. Now, looking back from a distance, it's easy to see how those modest bands stitched us together as a community. Whether passed between friends as tokens of loyalty, exchanged as quiet promises in the haze of a festival, or made solo in moments of creative solitude, leather bracelets symbolized the searching, open-hearted spirit of the decade. In today's fast-paced world, crowded with instant messages and fleeting fashions, there's something enduring about the slow craft of tying a leather knot or the warmth of a story passed on alongside a weathered band. Maybe you still have one tucked away in a drawer, a little faded, but still carrying the touch of the hands that made it and the scent that brings you right back to sunlit afternoons and music on the breeze. Or perhaps it's just the memory of making or receiving one that lingers, reminding you how sometimes the most ordinary things become extraordinary when woven into the story of our lives. So how does your own story with leather bracelets unfold? Do you still remember the friend who gave you yours, the festival where you found it, or the hours spent perfecting a knot at the kitchen table? What did that small, sturdy band mean to you? And does it still spark a smile when you think about those days? If this video brought back a flood of memories, I invite you to share your favorite leather bracelet memory in the comments below. Did you keep it as a lucky charm? Was it a symbol of friendship, of love, or just a piece of the era you never wanted to lose? Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more journeys back to the things that shaped us. And be sure to share this with old friends who walked alongside you through those unforgettable years. There are more stories waiting just around the corner, ready to be rediscovered together. And as we close this chapter on the leather bracelets of the 70s, remember, sometimes the smallest things become the biggest part of who we are. Like leather, softened by time, our memories only grow richer the more we cherish them, warm, genuine, and always wrapped around the heart.